Hello, my name's Alan. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to be talking about Against the Day, Thomas Pynchon here. Specifically, part 3, Bilocations. And where do we start? I'm doing this video, or these videos, primarily for people in the future who may find them, and so I can get with some Pynchonians or Pynchonites. Because where do we begin with a book like this? Certainly not at the beginning. I mean, there's hundreds of characters. There's a British professor, Professor Renfield, Renfew, and then there's a German professor, Professor Wolfner. Their names are spelled backwards. There's Elmar Fudd, who talks exactly like Elmer Fudd. There's dead people from the future. There's time travel. There's spinning dervishes, time machines. In fact, Bilocations, that's primarily what it's about. They're learning that there's two people can be at two places at one time. And astral projection. And we left off with the Chums of Chance. They're these adventurers that are in a Zeppelin that's like the size of a small aircraft carrier, and they're going around the globe. This novel takes place in Colorado, New York City, Mexico, Vienna, Venice, Italy, Central Asia. I'm getting to the part where they're in Central Asia. I'm in part 4 now, which is titled Against the Day, and they introduced a new character even. I have this far to go. Hopefully I'll finish it by the end of this year. It's my goal. I'll start it in November, I think, maybe October. But anyway, I wanted to talk about, so this Zeppelin in Bilocations, they find through mathematics. There's, like Pynchon, if you know anything about him, these filled with mathematics, but it is a very readable book too, somehow. Like I'm not a big math whiz, and I've looked up some things. I also want to say that I'm listening to this with audio while I read it. So, and the reader is very good. That he does voices and things like that. A lot of wild sex in here too, and a lot of hilarity, a lot of mysticism and magic. Like if you've ever read Gravity's Rainbow, there was some tarot and Kabbalah in that. Well, in Against the Day, there's even more. There's Madame Blavatsky appears in here, the Theosophical Society. Terms like as above, so below. The Golden Dawn is in here. The macrocosm being like the universe, stars and planets, and the microcosm being your body with atoms and protons, electrons surrounding atoms. But that's just that phrase. The math in here is intense. It's like the TV show Big Bang Theory intense. But the novel is heading, some of the characters are heading to this place called Shambhala, which is a real mythical place, heavily into Buddhism, this book. There's a lot of drug taking in this book, not only marijuana and hashish in that, but other psychedelics as well, and even things unheard of. There's a part where there's a talking light bulb in Gravity's Rainbow. Well, there's a tornado who communicates in here, and they're feeding the tornado. But the Chums of Chance, getting to this, finish with this thought, this Zeppelin, they're in Central Asia with the deserts and sand, and through mathematics they're able to go under the sand and explore down there, where they meet up with other ships that are traveling under the sand, underground, and they're finding oil deposits and things like that. Many of the characters are introduced in the beginning, and they pick up later. Like we had the geek, eccentric scientist part, and he is in and out of this. We have the spy, adventurous, femme fatale part, and we have the like Wild Western revenge part, and that's going to be resolved. I have a feeling, because it keeps coming up with this family that their father was killed. If you remember the first part of when I first started talking about Against the Day, I mentioned that they killed this family's father, and he was addicted to nitroglycerin. He was like eating it and that. Let's see, a lot of foreign languages in here. There's a lot of foreign languages in here, and I was looking them up, but I found that I really didn't have to, because I could get the gist of it, if not from the phrasing, from what they were doing. But it just goes in for the authenticity of it and the people. Pynchon's vocabulary is vast, much like his encyclopedic mind. It's unbelievable. That's why I get so... Pynchon's novels are so rich to me. I learned so much, and it's hard to explain. It's all about anarchism in here. That's where the dynamite... They were blowing up dynamite in Colorado in the mines and that, but then it got to anarchism. We have fourth dimensions. I mentioned time travel, space travel, multiple worlds. It's Kit and Reef, Traverse, who want to avenge their father's death. And it's the Scarsdale Vibe, the Vibe family. So that's like the Hatfields and McCoys. Eating raspberries marinated in ether. People are getting high with gas, and I just don't mean like gas that comes out of your oven or anything, but gas molecules, and they're hanging upside down in these chambers. And they mentioned, number 12, the hangman in tarot, who is also St. Peter, the first pope, who was hung upside down because he didn't want to be hung as Jesus was. And just on and on. You just can go with like a point like that, and then go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and then we're in the Vatican, and we're in the lost tunnels of that. But let me just read you a section. I think it's either going to be about the sex or drug taking here, if I can find it. I marked a few places. But these Bogiana tended to be not so much God-possessed as violently insane. They drank incessantly, whatever they could get their hands on, some of it pretty horrible. They had devised a steam distillery in which they could turn everything they found with any discernible sugar content into a species of vodka. Fossil oils made up one of the major nutritional groups in their diet. They came back to camp with sacks full of strange molten red mushrooms that sent them off on internal journeys out to Siberias of the soul. There was apparently a two-part structure to the narrative, part one being pleasant, visually entertaining, spiritually enlightening, and part two filled with unspeakable horror. The fungal maniacs did not seem put out at all by this, regarding one as the price of the other. To enhance the effect, they drank one another's urine, in which the alchemicalized forms of the original hallucinatory agent were present, and etc., etc., etc. So it's just a wealth of information and entertainment, and that's why I love Mr. Thomas Pynchon. Thank you for your time and consideration. Until next time, adieu.